Whoops. Hello, Cuddles. Right, well, today I've been playing a lot of Cthulhu the last couple of days, and I'm going to go slightly off topic because I've just had a parcel turn up from Chaosium. At least I hope it's from Chaosium. And I got a cat headbutting me. It was really well packaged. It came in 3 layers of cardboard from DPD. And what it is it's RuneQuest. Now, obviously, people who are on this group are mainly Cthulhu players. But before we had Call of Cthulhu, the game that inspired the system was RuneQuest. And RuneQuest is set in a fictional world of Glorantha. And what's going to confuse matters is there's another game that's set in the world of Glorantha. Well, several actually, but there's another role-playing game called HeroQuest. There's a couple of adventures from a campaign. The Coming Storm and the 11 Lights campaign. Very, very good. You could play that. It's written for a game called HeroQuest, but you could play it with RuneQuest. Now, Cuddles. Go on, boy. For some reason, my cat now wants to be in the gaming room all the time. So what I got was, I paid a lot of money for this, but I've got the box set, and I'm just quickly going to open it up so you can have a look at it and talk a bit about RuneQuest. So RuneQuest was one of the first role-playing games I played in about 79, 80, I think, maybe 81. And my friend Axel was a huge fan of it. Oh no, actually it was later than that, 82, 83, because it was after Axel came to England from Germany. So, and Axel and Eric Quigley used to play an awful lot of RuneQuest, and I always found the background off-putting. Now, a few years ago, I bought this, The Guide to Glorantha in 2 volumes. And if that doesn't put you off playing RuneQuest, I don't know what would. It's an encyclopedia. It's a fantastic, useful resource. But you want to have been playing for a good 5 or 6 years, I'd have thought, maybe 10 years before you actually bother about it. Because everything you need to know, you can get in other books. Now, let's just have a look. These are the same size, roughly. Well, let's take my 7th edition rulebook down. There's my 7th edition Call of Cthulhu rulebook, which I'll put next to it. So, the slipcase contains 3 books. I have to put this down to do this. Let's start with the main rulebook. If you've played lots of Chaosium games, this will be very familiar to you. I already have a copy of this. Yes, I'm that sad. I now have 2 copies of the RuneQuest rulebook. The maps. Now, the maps are lovely, but you need bright light to be able to see them well. You get the PDF free. Obviously, if you buy the box set, they send you the PDF as well. And if you buy the PDF first, subsequently, as with all Chaosium stuff, you buy the PDF and then you get a discount voucher for buying the book from them. Right, contents. And it is an introductory game. It explains Glorantha from the beginning with some beautiful art, much of which actually came from, or some of which came, I believe, from the Gods' War, which is a Sandy Peterson, the inventor of Call of Cthulhu board game that hasn't come out yet. Well, it's available. People in Asia have received it. It was a Kickstarter 3 years ago. It's massively delayed, and it ended up costing Peterson Games more to send it than they actually made of it, I think. I think they're actually making a loss on it, but I don't know. But they're good people. So, a few things that you'll be familiar with if you played Pendragon. Now, your character starts with a history. You roll dice for your grandparents and your parents to give your character a background history. There's about 6 major homeland regions covered, each of which has got multiple subdivisions. Lunatash, Prax, Sartar. This won't mean anything to you unless you play RuneQuest. So the runes work on a slightly different way to how they used to work, but they're still the same pretty much. But they're integrated to your character's personality. If you played RuneQuest 2 or Cthulhu First Edition and 1.5, the Cthulhu Companion had this kind of system where skills are perception or agility or stealth or dex, and your stats modify them. So if you played Cthulhu in 84, 85, you might be familiar with this. And then different occupations. Basically, it's an old school revival in some ways, but nothing like D20 role-playing game. And the system is essentially that of Call of Cthulhu. I mean, there are differences, but they are minor. because Call of Cthulhu is derived ultimately from RuneQuest. So anyway, the major rule book is 419 plus pages. Hang on, bold home at the capital of Sartar. 443 plus the end papers. So, and it's something that if you're interested in fantasy role playing, it's definitely worth considering, and I would consider using it for the Dreamlands. Also in the box set, you get the bestiary, which has got a different style of map of the region, which is rather nice. And creature hit points and hit locations. The Elder Racers, Beastmen, Baboons. I've had this for a while. Oh, these are some dragon newts. I've had this for a while on PDF. There we go. And I'm guessing these are Mostali dwarves. Well, dwarves. Dwarf sorcery. Newtlings. Now the system, from what I've seen of it so far, is a hybrid of RuneQuest 2nd edition, which I would call classic RuneQuest, probably the last Chaosium RuneQuest, and also Pendragon. There's elements of Pendragon Pass, if you've ever heard of that. But Pendragon was another Greg Stafford game, and it's very, very good. Now, obviously, we need to move on here. Sandy Peterson, who I mentioned a minute ago, he also, as well as running Peterson Games and inventing Call of Cthulhu, he created a lot of the background for Glorantha in his campaign with Greg as well. And it's Greg Stafford's world. Greg died last year, sadly, so he never got to see this come out. But right, the RuneQuest Game Master screen. Now, if you've got the Masks of Nyarlathotep pack, you'll be familiar with this. It's lots of papers, and I think I'll probably, well, I'll keep that for the moment. The RuneQuest Game Master Adventures booklet, which is substantial. It's a nice paperback. I'm guessing it's about, 130 pages, 120 pages, 122 pages. And then, as well as the 122 pages of adventures, which is very well done, you've got the Game Master reference book, 18 pages of tables, a Gloranthan calendar. Now, this is kind of important because Glorantha has a very different calendar to us. His sea season. It's lovely, isn't it? Fire season. That's going to be in Darahapa. The background is so complicated that you don't need to know it all at once. That's the wonderful thing. You just learn bits of it. Kerofin or Kirofin. Dark season. It's pretty dark, whatever it is. Probably a troll. Could be Kaigolito. And I don't know, storm season. Okay. The character sheets are, you get one like this, which is a rather pretty character sheet. You can download that as a PDF and print it off if you want. And you get you get one like this as well, which is probably better on your ink if you're like me, short of ink. Then there's a whole series of pre-generated characters, so you can start playing immediately. You don't need to wait. And they've all got backgrounds from over Glorantha. Whoops. And sorry about this, I'm not very good at filming, am I? Finally, get through all this. Put it over there. 13th Age produced this map, as I remember. 13th Age Glorantha, or something very similar. But there, the map was only available if you paid for it as an add-on. It's a smallish map, 2-sheet A4, 2 sheets of A4, but it's rather nice, and it shows you everywhere you'll need to know for a Dragon Pass and Praxian campaign. On the back here, we have a spectacular map of Clearwine, which is a sort of Minoan style. Oh, Glorantha is a Bronze Age world, so it's very different from the medieval style of most. Oh, okay, I'm not going to unfold this because it's going to be wonderful. This shows the former kingdom of Sartar on this side. And where are the Corbrea? Because there they are, they're over there. They rebel just before. The game is set in 1625. The campaign I'm running, The Coming Storm. Hello, Cuddles. You going to play tonight? Yeah. Is the run up to 1625. It covers, I think, 1617, 1618 to 1625. Anyway, let's keep going. On the other side of the tribes, we have the Kolimar tribe lands. So another big fold-out map. Ah! Oh, okay. Full-size, massive poster map of Dragon Pass. I've already got several of those, but I will add it to my collection. Stick it on the wall, if I can find a wall that will take it. And a GM screen, which on this side is absolutely filled with tables, and on the other side has got, you'd have to be quite into Glorantha to know what this was, I think, or played the old Mongoose game Darahapa Stirred maybe. This is the God's Wall, which is an ancient relic that can be found in Darahapa, and in fact in Iran, I believe it is, there is exactly something very, very similar that it dates back to one of the ancient Persian empires. So I've taken all this out of the slipcase. The slipcase is Greg Stafford's Glorantha. It's rather nice. It's exactly the same size as the Cthulhu and Masks one, I think. And it's got a comparable amount of heft. It's slightly cheaper. It's still not cheap, but it's cheaper than it would be to buy that. I think, I can't remember how much it is because I had such a significant discount because of having bought the PDFs, but I think it's about £80 or £90. If you play Call of Cthulhu, you might be thinking, well, I play Call of Cthulhu. Here we go. There's my Gaffer Noah I painted, and that is a Elder thing from Cthulhu Wars the game. So why would I want to be interested in RuneQuest? Because the system is almost identical or very similar. The combat system's slightly more complicated because the two games are historically linked by the same people, because it supports Chaosium, and because we all, at some point in our life, need to play a fantasy role-playing game. Cuddles, a fantasy role-playing game, and because Cuddles is still awaiting the Ulthar Dreamlands adventure. Aren't you, Cuddles? Yep. So, RuneQuest, today's, not quite as irrelevant as it may seem. It does contain walked pie. And if I can find one, walked pie look a lot like this. Now, that is actually, obviously, you can't see it very well because I can't focus in the light, but it is a model of Great Cthulhu from Cthulhu Wars, one of the latest ones to come out from Peterson Games, and that's the size of some of the miniatures in that game. But there's also a creature in Glorantha called a Walktopus, which is basically a star spawn of Cthulhu. And Chaos is in some ways reminiscent of the old ones. Anyway, thanks for listening, or if you managed to get this far, thanks for paying attention. This is the RuneQuest box set by Chaosium. I hope it was of interest. Take care.